So now, right.
Are we going? Okay. Hi guys, I'm Eden. Thank you so much for coming here tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about that Hawaii should limit and tax the collecting of aquatic species for aquarium use.
Yes.
I'm from Hilo like you guys, and
Yeah.
I love living here because the ocean's
Yeah.
right there. My favorite ocean activity is diving because I love to go down and see the fish and just leave life behind and just be a part of it, you know. And it's so beautiful down there. There's so much life.
Welcome. There's a pumpkin I like.
The issue is especially important to Hawaii because there are 1,250 endemic species, many of which are sought after by aquarium collectors because they're rare and expensive. Okay, aquatic fishing around the world has different faces.
Mom.
So we're going to talk about that so that you know the background of the issue. Also, Hawaii Island has taken some legislative initiatives to protect the reef. We have some protected areas where it's not allowed to collect fish, so we'll talk about that, where that is and how much of it is protected. We'll talk about the current practices that are allowed in collecting of marine life, and some of the steps that Maui has taken that are really interesting, and what the future may hold for the Big Island itself. So I want to talk about what Hawaii's natural beauty means to the people who live in Hawaii. We go to the ocean for adventure and nature, and so do 8.5 million tourists every year. Hawaii's leading industry, in fact, is tourism, and it represents the inflow of billions of dollars into the Hawaiian economy. In 2015, the tourism industry represented 270,000 jobs. So, really, the natural beauty here supports the economy here, and it's something that's really important to the people who live here. So, the Aina is the lifeblood of the people and also the economy. So, what does aquarium collecting with wildlife have to do with those things? So what does aquarium collecting mean? It's when you go to the reef system and you're collecting specifically reef fish that can be used in aquariums. A few people practice it just to supply their own aquariums because they're hobbyists, but most of the time it's actually people doing it for commercial reasons. Brian, please don't eat that Play-Doh. And they're making a lot of money off of it, and they're taking a lot of fish. Unfortunately, there is no way to control whether they're doing it carefully and ethically or carelessly, how many fish they're taking, what the future is for the fish in terms of do they stand up to being caught at all, how do they make it to their destinations, where do they go, and things like that. And there are some effects on the reef, even though you're technically not allowed to use techniques that will directly damage the reef. Taking the fish out is a problem for the reef itself, the coral in the reef. So we've already talked about what aquarium collecting is, personal versus commercial. Hawaiian fish are really in demand because they're rare, but that's because they only come from here, and it's important that we keep them here. Methods around the world, you may hear some of this if you ever hear about this. There's an argument going on about whether it should be allowed here in Hawaii or not, and you might hear about the use of cyanide in the water to make fish slow down and easier to catch, which does increase their mortality rate. I mean, if it doesn't kill them right away, they're usually going to die within a year. But that's not something that happens here. That's something that happens more likely in the Philippines. So it's good to keep in mind that that's not here. Also, we're not allowed to use large nets here that would drag across the coral. So that's another thing to remember. That's not an issue specifically for Hawaii. In Hawaii, you're only allowed to use small nets. And this could be a net that you spread over like this, or it could be a hand net. He's using both of those techniques together, and these are yellow tangs. These are some of the most sought after fish. But how ethical are our practices really? With nobody limiting the amount of fish that you can take or the manner in which you can take them, there's been some surprising ideas about the best way to get the most fish, such as finning, fizzing, and starvation. Finning is when the fish that's caught has its fins trimmed so that there are no pokey parts left to puncture the bag that it's shipped in. Fizzing is a type of hypodermic surgery that's done on the fish while they're being caught under the water. It's a hollow needle that punctures the swim bladder, which is a type of air sac in the fish that allows it to rise and sink and to depressurize its body. But when they make a puncture here, they can pull the fish up without them dying or getting really sick. Like I've heard of the bends. I don't know if you guys have. Something that happens with divers too. And they don't feed them because if they did, there would be waste in the water. And many of the markets that carry the Hawaiian fish, once they're shipped to other places, don't take them out of the bag, they display them in the bag. Therefore, that's why they would want the water to be clean. Here's just one example. I think this fish is already dead. But here's another example to show you the scale at which these markets are, and that's only the middle ground. They even have situations like this where it's thousands of fish and they're just on the street markets and who knows where. So the mortality rates are something that is a really big part of this argument because the fish that are taken, 40% die in the male, and then of the remaining 60%, 97% of that 60% will die within the first year, leaving only this little part, almost none. That's got to be like 1%. Sorry, I'm not that great at math. Unfortunately, some of them don't make it to the male. They never make it. And they're discarded before they can ever be shipped. This was 2 bags of fish that were found in a dumpster at the boat dock in Honokahau. It was 610 fish altogether, 551 of which were yellow tangs. 59 others were butterfly and surgeon fish. There were no outward signs of injury or disease, leaving one to speculate possibly they were starved or starved of oxygen. These yellow tangs can live up to 40 years in the wild. And many of these are just the small ones. These are in their early stages of life. Here, baby, keep that over here. So, out of this, 97% will die within the first year of capture. Leaving many a diver to ask, oh no, where'd all the fish go? So, where do we go from here? Luckily, we have a hero in this whole thing, and it's Maui. In 2010, Maui passed a bill that requires permits, mortality reports, and taxes and fees on all the aquarium fish caught. It also bans starvation, finning, and fizzing, and it was voted to pass unanimously, which says a lot about how people feel about what's going on. One of the big reasons why legislation like this would be effective is because a lot of people are making mistakes. Where hobbyists are going and taking a lot of fish that they don't know what to do with because there's so much money to be made and those fish are just dying and it's really a waste, So that kind of legislation makes it really difficult for people who are just going to do it carelessly to come in and take a bunch of fish and then never pay for it, And the law can work for us on the Big Island too. In conclusion, Hawaii's marine life belongs in Hawaii. Marine life should be as protected as it is beautiful. The beauty of Hawaii supports our economy, and we need to protect our future. The fish will thank you for voting to protect them every time you come to visit by being there.